Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Higher Dimension. I'm Gloria Danvers from Gloria Danvers Hypnosis, and I'm your host. On this podcast, we explore the soul-level side of the human experience. As a hypnotherapist, I witness powerful awakenings and shifts in consciousness just about every day. With their permission, I share my clients' amazing stories, along with my own solo episodes. We'll be exploring past lives, spirit realms, and the deeper workings of the universe. We'll be looking at spiritual awakenings, psychic intuition, healing through hypnosis, and those strange but meaningful moments in a person's life that shift everything they ever knew. Some weeks it will be just you and I, and we'll be digging deep into the mysteries of the subconscious mind, the universal mind, and the divine mind. Many of these episodes will include channeled messages offering wisdom and perspective for everyday life. Some weeks I'll be bringing on other metaphysical practitioners to share their extraordinary work in the higher realms. They're all unique, all transformative. And whether it's their story, or your story, or even my story, the real question is always, what now? What comes next? How do you live differently after a spiritual experience? Who are you? And what do you know now that you didn't know then? If you're here listening, chances are you're ready for your own hypnotic journey, your own spiritual awakening, and finding your place in an expanding universe. You can reach me at gloriadanvershypnosis.com. Send me an email. Book a free consultation. And if you like the subjects that I'm bringing to your table, please take a moment and hit like and subscribe. Your support can help me take this podcast to the next level. But for now, just relax, take a deep breath in, and let's explore a higher dimension. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to A Higher Dimension. I'm Gloria Danvers, and I'm your host. You know, I do a lot of spiritual work with my hypnosis clients. I love that they realize that there is so much to the universe than just the limiting beliefs that they've been brought up in. But sometimes they know just enough to keep them in the same place. And that mindset can be a dangerous place to be. And I'm talking about looking at the events of your life that have been repeated, that have been painful relationships with lovers, families, and saying to yourself, well, this is my karma. Or, I wonder what I did bad in my last life because this is my karma. I guess I'm being punished. And that's really just another way of saying, I give up. I accept this. And it's very frustrating because that mindset will make sure that you stay right where you are. And that's not what you are here for. We all live inside our stories. And maybe for a long time, those stories felt like they were happening to us. Especially when it was the same story in a different form over and over again. To the unenlightened soul, it does appear like a punishment from karma, the avenging energy that brings misfortune and difficult circumstances. We have been taught from birth, especially in religious institutions, that things happen to us because we are bad and that we deserve punishment. This is what keeps us in bad marriages. This is what keeps us accepting of our negative circumstances. In fact, this is what keeps us down in every way that you can think of. But This is not what you came here for. Suppose you weren't being punished at all. What if all that isn't true? What if there's something much deeper going on beneath what we call fate? A kind of quantum design where your awareness itself is the creative force. And that's what we're exploring today, how awareness, real awakened awareness, acts like a karmic eraser that can rewrite your soul's story. There's a famous experiment in physics called the double slit experiment, and it's one of those discoveries that quietly changes everything. In the experiment, scientists shoot tiny particles of light, photons, through two slits in a barrier to see where they land on the screen behind it. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When no one observes the photons, they behave like waves, spreading out, creating a pattern of possibilities, almost like the universe playing jazz with infinite potential. But the moment that someone observes them, those same photons stop behaving like waves and begin to act like solid particles instead. The act of observation collapses the wave. In other words, it decides reality. And then they took it one step further. They added a mechanism that could erase the information after the fact, meaning you could undo the observation. And when you did, the particles went back to being waves, as if the observation had never happened. That's the quantum eraser experiment. And it quietly whispers one of the most profound truths ever discovered. Observation doesn't just record reality, it creates it. Now, I want you to just sit with that for a second. Your awareness, your attention, isn't passive. It isn't watching the movie of your life unfold. It's the projector. Every thought, every perception, every belief acts like a lens that collapses possibility into form. And the moment that you become truly aware of that lens, you can change it. You can recreate what gets projected. So how do you do that? You do that by waking up, stepping into the seat of your own observer, and making a different choice. This is what I mean when I say awareness is a karmic eraser. When you bring awareness to a pattern, could be a wound, a belief, a cycle that's repeating throughout your life, you just don't understand it. You alter the field that it exists in. You shift its vibration. And in doing so, you rewrite the energetic record that has been keeping it alive. And that's not hard. It's the simplest of things. But it does require recognition. For years, I didn't know that. My relationships were always full of drama and heartache. And it felt like every relationship I entered into started out full of promise and ended with heartbreak. And every time I found myself in the same place, standing in the wreckage, asking the same questions. But I wasn't asking, why does this keep happening to me? I was asking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with them? I was desperate to understand why something that felt so right at the beginning could unravel into pain. And every man was different. They didn't look alike. They didn't act alike. They didn't even live alike. But somehow, the storyline was identical. Different actors, same ending. I had a need to be understood. I had my go-to emotions, the crying, the anger, the raging, the trying to make them see me. But on a soul level, the outcomes were always the same. Eventually, I was so wounded by these relationships that I had to take a time out. All I really wanted was peace. And once I stepped out of the loop I was in and began to learn what peace really meant, this is where I found the awareness. This is where I began to connect the dots. I didn't crave drama for the sake of it. I craved the feeling that came with it, that anxious, electric intensity of not knowing where I stood. The high of hope, the drop of disappointment. That was the emotional language that I had learned to call love. Chaos felt familiar. It felt familiar because I had grown up with that very kind of chaos and unconsciously recreated by attracting people who would create that chaos with me. And why? Because it felt familiar. And familiarity feels safe, even when it's destroying you. Awareness did not come to me in the middle of the drama. It came after, when there was nothing left but silence and exhaustion. I'd been broken open so many times that all I wanted, as I said before, the only thing I wanted was peace. And when peace finally arrived, it didn't come as a reward. It came as a realization. I saw it. I saw the loop, the pattern. I saw the architecture of my choices. And for the first time, I understood that I was not living out some terrible karma that was cursed. I was creating. I was collapsing the same emotional wave into the same reality over and over again. Until the day I didn't. That moment of awareness, the realization of choice, that was my karmic eraser. Because once you see the pattern clearly, it can't play itself the same way anymore. You can't call it bad luck anymore. You can't call it retribution for something that you did in a former life. Once you see the pattern clearly, you own it. You're no longer acting inside the script. You're holding the pen. And even after that, life still handed me opportunities to repeat the same story, the same kind of men, the same kind of emotional hooks, the same bait. But awareness gave me something new. Choice. And every time I chose peace over pain, the old storyline dissolved a little more. That's what awareness does. It collapses the old vibration and opens space for something new. And now let's zoom back out from the personal to the quantum. In that experiment that I mentioned before, observation changed behavior. The wave became a particle because it was seen. When you bring light to a dark corner of your life, when you truly see it without judgment, the same thing happens energetically. You collapse one timeline and you open another. When you bring light to a dark corner of your life, when you truly see it without judgment, the same thing happens energetically. You collapse one timeline and you open another. You shift from, this is my fate, to, this is my creation. Energy responds to consciousness. Your awareness is the great organizer. It decides what gets to exist in your field and what dissolves back into possibility. Think about it this way. Every painful memory, every wound, every repeating pattern in your life is like an energetic photograph, a snapshot of consciousness frozen in time. And every time you revisit it with the same emotion, the same interpretation, you reinforce that image. You sharpen its focus. But when you revisit it with awareness, when you see it differently, you blur that old image until it fades and a new one begins to emerge. That's how karma dissolves. That's how it is erased. Not by punishment or reward, but by integration. By awareness reclaiming its light from the shadow. And most people misunderstand karma. They think it's some cosmic scorekeeper balancing the books of good and bad. But karma isn't retribution. It's resonance. It's the energetic echo of unintegrated experience. Every thought, emotion, or action that carries that charge, love, fear, guilt, pride, sends an energy into the field of consciousness. If that energy isn't understood, it loops back, not as a punishment, but as a mirror. A gentle or sometimes a not so gentle reflection saying, "Do you see me yet?" That's why certain patterns repeat. It's not that the universe wants you to suffer. It's that your soul wants you to see. It wants you to see that karma is an unprocessed awareness looking for completion. When you bring light, true awareness, to an old karmic loop, you neutralize its charge. It no longer needs to replay. And that's the real meaning of karma being cleared. It's not erased from the record. It is rewritten in a higher consciousness. And when that happens, something really beautiful occurs. The same situation may still arise in your life, but your response will be different. And that shift in vibration means that you've stepped off the karmic wheel. You are no longer reacting. You're creating. Every time you wake up to something that you used to do unconsciously, you are literally creating a way to edit your life, to change your karma. You are reprogramming your vibration. That's why old patterns seem to test you even after you've healed. It's not punishment. That's a check-in. That's the universe asking, "Are you sure you want to write this scene differently this time?" And when you choose differently, when you respond with peace instead of reaction, you pass the test not by effort, but by frequency. Awareness changes your energy, and your energy changes what shows up in your life. And we can talk about awareness itself, because it's not thought, it's not judgment or analysis. It's that quiet, luminous presence behind the mind, the observer, that simply sees. When you become aware of something, you stop being inside of it. You shift from being the actor to the director. You stop fighting the scene and start understanding the script. And that's when you can erase the parts that no longer serve your story. Every emotion you've ever had is an energy. And when you shine the light of awareness onto those vibrations, you raise them. I mean, literally raise them. They transform from dense to subtle, from fear to understanding, from pain to peace. We can go even a little deeper into that field. Imagine that your life isn't happening in a straight line, past, present, and future. Instead, like waves overlapping in an ocean of potential. Each decision, each emotion, each realization sends ripples through that field. And when you become aware, truly aware, you don't just change your now. You send a ripple backward and forward through time. You rewrite your energetic history. Because if awareness changes the present, it also changes with what the past means. And that meaning is what determines the vibration of your future. So in a very real sense, awareness and observation don't just heal your past, they reconstruct it. And when your past is reconstructed, That's what creates compassion for the person that you are. It erases the old energetic coordinates and replaces them with light. That's how souls evolve. That's how lifetimes transform. That's how karma ends. I want to take you into a short inner peace process now. Just a moment of awareness you can do wherever you are. And this is the place in the podcast where I say, please come back to this part later if you're driving or operating heavy machinery. Because I'm about to tell you, close your eyes. Close your eyes if you can. Or just turn your attention inward. Think of something in your life that feels repetitive. A pattern, a reaction, a familiar pain. Don't judge it, just see it. Now imagine it as energy, not as a story, but as a vibration moving through your field. Feel where it lives in your body. Maybe in your chest, your stomach, maybe in your throat. Whatever it is, breathe light into it. That light is awareness. It's not trying to fix anything. It's simply seeing fully, lovingly, without resistance. And notice what happens when you hold it in awareness. It begins to soften. It begins to dissolve because awareness has no opposite. Darkness cannot exist in the presence of light. It's already served its purpose by making you look. Now let that awareness expand. Let it fill your mind, fill your body, fill your energy field. Let it reach backwards through your memories, rewriting every moment that ever felt like that same pain. And now see those memories filling with light. Not erased from existence, but purified of suffering. See yourself complete, finished. And finally, see yourself moving on and not looking back. Notice that through this entire podcast, we did not designate karma as good or evil. It's a vibration, and that's all it is. If you have been led to believe something different, it won't cost you anything to engage in a new form of thinking. One that does not put you at fault for the life that you're living and the pain that you are suffering. Karma is not a closed door behind which one atones and pays. Karma also offers a way out. You are the Karmic Eraser. Your consciousness is the book, and the story is yours to rewrite. And that's a wrap. Thanks so much for being here with me today. Thanks for making the time. And I hope something that I shared opened up a door in your mind, maybe sparked a new perspective, or sent you down a major rabbit hole. If this podcast resonates with you, don't forget to like and subscribe and share it with someone who might enjoy it as well. If you're curious about having your own extraordinary experience, or if you've had an extraordinary experience and want to share it, reach out. Send me an email. Book a free consultation. Until next time, stay curious and stay open to whatever comes to you in a higher dimension. Bye.